testing. How does this sound? Can you hear me? I'm gonna read a chapter of this book. It's called The Sensuous Garden by Montague Dawn. I got this at a thrift store. I think it was sort of, the cover caught my eye, but I really liked reading it because I felt like a lot of what he says about gardening can be applied to more sort of just general life practice of being in touch with your surroundings and your body, and having a sensuous relationship with the world, which I'm into. But yeah, I always loved being read to, and it's really soothing for me, so I thought it might be nice to share that with you. I'm going to read the chapter about shade. Shade. Gardeners have an obsession with shade. Libraries are filled with books on plants for shade, and techniques for getting the most out of what is generally assumed to be a profound disadvantage. While there is a deep psychological hunger for light, it seems curious that shade should be treated as an anomaly, a piece of bad luck that we have to cope with as best we can. After all, what we mean by shade is simply the effect of an object blocking the light source. Shade is a part of every garden, and in many gardens, its absence is the biggest problem, because very few plants thrive in unbroken sunlight. So, the first thing to do is to abandon the convention that shade is a limitation on your gardening ambitions, and see it as being as essential and natural as rain. It is a positive element of the garden and should be used to full advantage, not just to grow the plants that have naturally evolved to flourish in it, but also as a visual respite from the sun. In midsummer, every garden needs a shady spot where you can sit and eat, and this is best created by means of a screen from the sun rather than made from a site where the sun does not reach. This kind of shade wants to be a delicious pool, not a cold, dark pond. From the deep gloom lurking in the lee of a high wall, where only a select, often interesting and beautiful, band of plants do well, to dappled light, shade varies enormously. All woodland plants have evolved to make the most of shade, sometimes in a very sophisticated manner. Plants evolve to adapt to change. Primroses, wood sorrel, bluebells, violets all thrive best in the half shade of a shrub thicket. They flower in early spring when the light is only partly blocked by the bare branches, before the canopy has come into leaf. We can apply this principle to the garden, manipulating shade by pruning taller plants to allow more light into the base of a border, wall, or under a tree. We can also choose plants that make the most of different levels of shade in each season. It is ironic that the season of brightest light, summer, is also the time of deepest shade. There are as there are so many leaves to create a barrier for the sunlight. Some colors stand out in shade better than others, and it makes sense to use your armory of color to work with this rather than struggling against it. White is the easiest color to see in surrounding gloom and therefore will attract pollinators. In the harsh, unshaded light of midday, white flowers are lost in the whiteness of the light. Blue is at its clearest when seen in shade. Dark does not diffuse it, but makes it seem cooler to the eye. The hot colors, red, orange, bright yellow, are toned down by shade and paled by sun. They are best planted where they will receive low evening sunlight. The garden is rich with a range of shaded light from spangles of a shadow cast by the end of a branch to the sharp-edged dark falling behind a solid object. It all adds dimension and texture to what would otherwise be a desert of unbroken light. A garden with no shade might grow a huge range of sun-loving plants, but it would be a dull place, sensuously barren. And that's the sensuous garden. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a lavender coconut salt scrub. It's just 3 ingredients. There's Epsom salt, coconut oil, and lavender essential oil. So we'll start with the Epsom salt. So Epsom salt is a natural mineral compound of magnesium and sulfate. And magnesium is really important for muscle control and energy production and the elimination of toxins. So, and magnesium can be absorbed through the skin. So applying it topically in a scrub or soaking in Epsom salt in a bath can help you get more of this mineral in your body. So for this recipe, we're going to use 1/2 cup of Epsom salt to start. And it's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio, so a 1/2 cup of Epsom salt will need a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. But if you wanted to do a larger batch, you could do a full cup of Epsom salt and a 1/2 cup of coconut oil. So anyway, here's a 1/2 cup. I'm going to put it in this little bowl. Okay, so next we're going to add the coconut oil. And it helps if you warm it up if your coconut oil is solid, because it'll mix easier into the salt. So here's a 1/4 cup. Just pour that in there, and then I usually just stir it around a little bit before I add the lavender. So it should be kind of like chunky. Okay, so then you're going to add some lavender essential oil. This is my favorite kind of essential oil because it's pretty multi-purpose, and but some of the main uses for it are to sort of promote relaxation and sleep. It also eliminates nervous tension, and it can relieve pain. Lavender essential oil also has antibacterial and antiviral properties, so if you're using this as a scrub on your hands, it can be kind of like an added protection for your immune system. So I'm just going to add about 5 or 6 drops, but it's up to you how strong you want the scent. And also if you had other essential oils, you could do a little bit of a number of different ones. So that's up to you. So now I'm just going to use this little jar. I think it used to have jam in it, but I cleaned it out and it's the perfect little container for a scrub. And I'm gonna just spoon it in. So once you've stored this in a jar, it'll keep in the refrigerator for about 6 months if it's airtight. So I hope you have fun making your salt scrub and that it feels really good on your body, or maybe you give it to someone you love and that could feel good too.